Welcome to toy-polloi.
Hello and welcome to another video from toy-polloi, and in today's video we're going to be looking at getting this vintage He-Man and the Masters of the Universe laser bolt back up and working. Now, I was recently sent this in by Peter and he did say that it didn't work, and it doesn't work. There's a mechanism inside it and you should be able to press this button which will flip this wheel down and the whole thing sort of flips up. We've got this sort of demon-y sort of dragon face that flips on the front. There should be some guns on the side, and it's also in need of some new stickers. So we're going to be covering all of that today and seeing if we can actually get this back up and running. So what is wrong with this laser bolt? As I mentioned, there's a lot of sort of minor issues. The first one being here that you can see that the stickers are very worn. They've taken a lot of battering over the years, and I would guess that this has probably been outside for a while because it's full of dirt. There's a little bit of rust on it, and as I say, the whole mechanism inside it has locked up, which sort of tends to suggest that damp has got inside it. You're supposed to be able to press this button on the back. It releases a latch there and this wheel flips down and the whole vehicle turns from sort of this flat sort of race car or sort of dragster type thing into an upright thing. So you have a figure on the back of it here which is laying down, and then it flips up and he's sort of upright. It's a pretty cool toy, but the main feature doesn't work on it, so we've got to sort that out. So I say there are some guns that should be on either side of this that are missing. Those I'm guessing are missing because they're actually designed to be held by the figures as well. They're sort of guns on the side and then you can take them off, and the He-Man characters can hold them as well, so I guess they get sort of taken off and lost over time. The first thing that we need to do with this is actually to give it a good clean. It is really filthy. I can see inside here there's sort of dirt built up and there's grime all over the place, and once we've given that a clean, we can then start to work on this mechanism. I've got a couple of ideas as to how we could go about it. It may be we have to split this whole toy apart, which is not going to be that easy because it's glued and pegged inside, so we would have to do quite a lot of damage, I reckon, to split it open. So the first thing I'm going to try is to fix it without opening it. There's enough space here, I think I can get some penetrating oil or something inside. So we're going to try that first. If that fails, then we will have to take the whole thing apart. But as I say, let's give this a good clean. I'm going to use some hot soapy water and a toothbrush, clean every part of it. I'm not going to worry about any of these stickers because they are sort of beyond repair. Some of them at the front are not too bad, but I think I'm just going to replace every sticker on this, so it doesn't matter if they get wet or sort of come off as I clean it. But yeah, let's get this cleaned and then we can see if we can sort out this locked mechanism and get it working again. And there we go, that's it all cleaned up. I ended up taking off all of the stickers using some lighter fluid because as they got wet they just disintegrated. You could tell that they had been outside for a long time. I think that's what's happened to this toy. It's been left outside and that's why it's all seized up. So yeah, a good clean and lighter fluid to remove the stickers. And you can see it's actually a really pretty reasonable looking toy apart from the fact that mechanism doesn't work. So I'm just going to let this dry for a little while. It's still a little bit damp. Once that's all dried we can then get on and see if we can actually unlock this mechanism without taking it apart, which is what I'm really hoping is the case, because I don't really want to end up going along trying to split this, because you can end up damaging the toy more than you would want to. So hopefully we'll be able to unlock this somehow from the outside. Okay, well that's had some time to dry, and my first plan for this to try and unlock this mechanism is going to be to spray the inside with some penetrating oil, some WD-40, and see if that will loosen it up. I know this is made out of plastic, but there's bound to be a spring inside here because that's how this mechanism will work. There's a spring at this end around this sort of axle to force this wheel down, but there'll also be a spring for this mechanism here which is completely locked up. I'm sort of reckoning that if we soak everything inside with some penetrating oil and leave it for a couple of days, it might just start to shift this, because I can see the mechanism is sort of working. If I get a knife in here, there's a little black lever you can just about see in there. I can sort of grab that with the end of the knife, and if I push it down you can see that I can unlock that mechanism, so it's now in the upright mode. But the problem is when I push this down, that little pin will clip back in place, and then there's no way of undoing it because this button doesn't work. So yeah, I think penetrating oil might be the way to start with this, because as I say, I don't really want to split this apart, and I think if we can just loosen this mechanism inside, maybe that button will start to free up. So I'm going to go and do this in my garage because the WD-40 has a fairly strong smell and I don't want to upset my cat because I know she doesn't like it. So if I do this out in the garage, I'm not going to have any of that smell left in the house. So let's take this outside and I will spray as much as I can in this and sort of try and loosen up this mechanism. And as I say, leave it for a day or so and we'll see if it actually starts to free up, because at some point that button has got to come loose. I mean, maybe we can sort of get it working. So let's just go and give it a try. And here we are back in my room. It actually only took about 5 minutes of spraying in WD-40 and sort of wiggling a bit to unlock the mechanism. So you can now see that I can rotate this down, it will lock in place, and if I press this button on the back, it unlocks and it flips up. It's all sort of freed up. Now, I will put a sort of caveat on this, because I've had people before say to me, don't use WD-40 on plastic because it does something to the plastic. But I've used this on various toys over the years and never had an issue. In fact, you'll see that it's actually brought the plastic up quite nice. It's given it a real shine. I have also given this a good wash again. So once I'd finished doing the WD-40, I've drained out everything I could from inside, and I've washed everything on the outside, and I will probably wash it again one more time. So yeah, some people say WD-40 is not very good for plastic, but then other people use it to clean it and give a nice shine to the plastic. So I sort of find it works very well, but do be careful if you want to do this on your toy. Maybe do some tests first. It could be you could try some silicone lubricant on something like this, but I've always found that WD-40 works well, so that's what I use for these things. And as you can see, this one is now all freed up and it works really nicely. So yeah, it's done everything I wanted it to do, and I haven't had to split the vehicle open. I've managed to get it working without. But as I say, you may want to check what WD-40 does before you use it on anything that you're going to try and free up like this one. So now that that's all working, the next thing we need to sort out is the missing stickers, because as you saw, I took them all off and we've ended up with a very bare looking laser bolt. I do have a scan of the sticker sheet that I saved a very long time ago from the Toy Jesus website, which now no longer exists. So I'm going to take that into Photoshop, tidy it up, and I will print that out, and that's what we'll be using. The file that I create will be available then for free from toy-polloi.com. So let's go and get that file created. And here it is all printed out, and these are looking really nice. I just did a little bit of tidying up and sort of sorted out the edges of them, as you can see, and that's what we've ended up with. So these I have printed out onto some glossy sticky backed printer paper. You can print out onto whatever sort of paper you like, but I find the glossy ones tend to look quite nice when you put them on these Masters of the Universe vehicles. I'm now going to cut these out and we'll stick them back on and see what it looks like. Right, that's the stickers applied, and it's really starting to come to life, so we can now start putting it together. We need to clip the head on. There's two little bits on either side that these posts clip into. I think it should just clip in quite neatly. Let's try that. I don't want to put too much pressure on that post because it's already got a bit of a stress mark to it, but there we go, that's on. So that's the front section on. And now I do need to say a massive thank you to two people, to Wes and to Alan, who I've been chatting with on various sort of social medias, and they both have very kindly sent me in either of the guns. So I've got a left and a right gun, and I've sent back to them some toy-polloi goodies as a thank you. So here are the two guns. We have a left and a right gun. Now I've heard from a few people that often these clips are broken, the clips that fit into the side of the laser bolt. On these ones they aren't, and I would suggest if they are broken on yours, then bits of Lego, it looks like a Lego axle pin would do a pretty good job of mimicking that little post. And I think the reason these are missing, as you can see, that they have this little pillar here on the underside of it, because the idea is you can use them as a weapon. So if I bring in Prince Adam here, he can actually hold that in his hand and use it as a weapon. So I'm guessing kids would take these off and then they'd never get put back on, and they'd just get mixed up with all the other parts. So that's why you often find these laser bolts with these missing. But in this instance I now have both of them, so we can clip those in there like that and like that, and that is now looking pretty reasonable. I'm very happy with how that works. So let me rearrange my desk and we'll test this out. So here we have the laser bolt in its sort of street racer mode or drag strip mode, I don't know what you want to call it. The figure basically hooks in place via his feet, so there are two little holes at the back there that you sort of push his feet into, and then it can wheel along like that. And then if you press this button on the back, it should release the front wheel like that, whoop, and it sort of flips up into, yeah, another mode, I suppose. It's just a sort of an upright attack mode. I'm guessing this little marking here, sort of where the face of the figure is, it's supposed to be a sort of little viewport or something, so they're supposed to view through there, because they just look a little bit odd at the moment. The fact they can't really see, you can't really see their faces, but you can see that does now work, and it wheels along in this sort of three-wheel mode. And then to push it down like that, it will lock in place, and we're back in that sort of drag strip mode. Then again, if I press this button, hopefully it will unclip a little bit sort of cleaner. It's not the easiest of things to unclip, but there you go, it does sort of unclip. I'm guessing the spring feels pretty sort of solid in there, but just doesn't have enough oomph to transform it up. But it is working, and I've now got something that looks rather nice and rather displayable. So I'm very happy with how that has come out. It's quite an interesting toy to work on. As I was saying, I was hoping not to have to split it apart, because splitting toys apart always causes more damage than you would imagine. And as it turns out with this one, with a little bit of WD-40 squirted inside, it's sort of unlocked it quite well. And yeah, I've now got a very displayable piece, and this is going to go with the rest of my my He-Man and the Masters of the Universe collection. So I need to say a massive thank you to Peter, who very kindly sent in the basis of this project, and then also to Alan and to Wes, who's helped me with the guns. If you have one of these yourself and you need the stickers for it, then do head over to toy-polloi.com. You can download that file for free, print them out onto some glossy sticky backed printer paper, and you'll get yours looking as good as this one does. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, then make sure to hit the subscribe button and tap the bell to be notified each time I upload a new video, and thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching toy-polloi. Subscribe for more great videos. You can also follow toy-polloi on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.